So what's next on the agenda?
Well, we got Frozen, The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, Anchorman 2, and... I guess that's next.
He who lifts this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
And if he understands its true power, shall possess it for all eternity.
What do they mean by true power?
I don't know.
Me neither. Maybe we should try and lift it.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. For one thing, there's a warning sign over here.
Oh, you're right. But it's not written in Asgardian. In fact, it says made in Taiwan.
Maybe Taiwan is just a section of Asgard, like some neighborhood or something.
Gentlemen, there's only one way to decide this. We must call a meeting. Let the meeting of the Silly Hat Society commence!
Yahoo!
You've been thunderstruck! Thunderstruck! Yeah, thunderstruck!
Greetings, all.
Hello, everybody.
It's hammer time.
That's for sure.
We're all wearing hats.
Silly hats. Just like the first Thor movie.
Though I mean, in this respect, it's sort of related.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I got a Viking helmet.
I'm an enchanter of some kind.
Which I guess sort of goes with mythology, so...
Well, then again, Loki has like that horn hat thing, but he doesn't wear it in this one, though.
No.
And
But then he was prisoner, so...
I have a dollar store version of Thor.
Discount Thor.
Oh, God of Thunder. So, yes, this is the first Marvel movie since Avengers, right?
Iron Man.
No, Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man 3.
Sorry, I like to pretend those don't
Yeah!
A lot of us here like to pretend that Iron Man 3 didn't exist.
Yes.
So.
Well, let's say this is the first Marvel film since the Avengers that is good.
I'll
Agree
go
on
with
that.
that.
I'll go with that.
Yes, surprisingly, the second movie was actually pretty good. I actually think it was better than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was a little longer than the first one. And the first one's not that long either. It's what, like an hour and a half?
Yeah, it's relatively short.
First one's like... No, I want to say it's like an hour 45 minutes.
Still,
For the
it's
first
like...
one?
It's not all that long, whereas this one felt like it was much longer.
I don't know, it kind of felt like it was about the same.
I mean,
it kind of kept things...
yeah.
There was definitely a little bit more action this time around, because it wasn't just so much about like Thor being trapped, and he's trying to deal with, with Earthling. It's like talking and fancy talk. And
on the one hand, we pretty much get to the action right away. We don't meander around, because this isn't an origin story. So we don't have to, we can pretty much get right into the story as it is.
And it gets to the most important thing of the movie, Loki. I love how, because the opening, it opens up with, the backstory of this race called the Dark Elves, whatever. At one point they had this...
Led by the Ninth Doctor.
Yeah, by Chris Eccleston, which we didn't know till the credits, but... So, like, these dark elves, and they have, like, this dark matter, this super evil, like, super weapon, the ether or whatever, and they're using that to try to, cover the universe in darkness. And after they explain all that and how they were defeated, it goes right into present day, and who do we see? Loki.
Mm-hmm.
In chains.
Yes.
Giving in right to it, get it out of the way, straight to the point, what we all came here to see is Loki, so...
Yeah, well, they pretty much left off from where the Avengers ended at that point.
Yeah, he was still in chains from the Tesseract incident from the Avengers, so So it's like he has to pay for his crimes for what he did, and blah 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 blah. So Loki goes to jail, to Asgardian jail.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of feels like, I don't know, like the Asgard jail is kind of like, it's almost kind of like Arkham Asylum, where they're like that little glass dome box thing, and it's like just, and Loki's just sitting there with his books or whatever, and no, it kind of reminds me of Arkham a little bit, because they have like, because it's each individualized cells with like different like prisoners, and they're all, you know, apart from the batshit crazy part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much all the events in this movie take place about 2 years later, after the events of the Avengers, and pretty much Thor's doing damage control on all of the realms after Loki pretty much fucked shit up with the Bifrost and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he seems to be doing a pretty good job of it. Like, you see him, like, beat the hell out of this rock giant. That's pretty cool.
He's going in, taking names, kicking some ass as he always has. And he's getting the respect from his father Odin, that that he's able to deal with the problems as it comes, and that he is soon to inherit the throne of Asgard, and blah blah blah.
But he's lonely.
Yes, his life is not complete without Natalie Portman.
That could be said for a lot of guys.
I just love
We're going to be talking a lot about Natalie Portman and certain other movies when it comes to this.
Here's the funny thing. With both of the characters, like, it's been 2 years. We know that Natalie Portman's been like looking for Thor, and
still trying to find Thor, because ever since the events of the first Thor movie, she's been trying to get in touch with him. But she does find out about New York, though. She did mention like I heard, because when he finally,
Luke did it. Come on.
Yeah, I know, seriously. But when she finally does find Thor, apart from her like slapping him twice, once to make sure he was real, and two for where the fuck were you? And he's like, it's like, where were you? Like you left, you never called. It's like you left, you never called. You were in New York, and it's like,
well, I couldn't get back, but you were in New York.
No, I agree. I actually would be pissed too. Like, 'cause first of all, he promised he would come back, and he didn't. And then he somehow found a way back.
But he didn't bother to contact her.
Wait, they didn't. Maybe I'm wrong, because I know I've seen Avengers at least 3 times. Did they explain how Thor managed to get back to Earth?
Just that his father sent him. Because they never mentioned when the Bifrost was fixed.
Yeah.
It's
not so much the Bifrost. It's so much the that thing that
the
they
Rainbow Bridge.
The Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, Bifrost.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, the thing that Heimel's in charge of.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, because they never say when it's fixed, but even then, like, Thor doesn't even bother to go back down to Earth, just to let her know that he's okay and that he didn't forget his promise, whatever. No, he spends almost every night just like looking over, asking Heimel, right? Heidel, the guard.
Oh,
I keep mispronouncing his name.
Idris Elba.
Yeah,
the actor.
He goes over to him and he's like, "So how's she doing today?" He's like, "Still looking for her." He's like, "Cool."
I can see her.
I watch her sleep.
I can see her in the flower.
I see her eating cereal.
Yeah.
Really? You'd eat that?
I just love it. Like with Natalie Portman, you find out that like she's sort of moving on with her life, at the same time she's still kind of
holds a candle.
She's still kind of distraught over everything. Like, apparently she goes on a date with this guy who she clearly isn't interested in, and her friend mentions that, she's been living in her mother's house, not bathing, not cleaning up after herself, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, Natalie Portman doesn't look like someone who's been living in slovenly conditions for a year or so.
Yeah, really.
Unless maybe she finally just, like, cleaned herself up for that date.
Yeah.
No, but even then.
Yeah, but even then.
Yeah, So she apparently had to abandon her search, but then or what was it? Her intern was it?
Yeah, her intern.
Who she still has, even though she's
Darcy.
clearly not practicing science anymore, which makes you wonder why the intern even stays around. Yeah, she discovers that,
As a friend, emotional support. I don't know.
even though she said the girl drives her nuts.
No.
Well, speaking of nuts,
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Speaking of nuts,
Oh,
the
yeah.
doctor.
Oh yeah, because Loki made him go insane. Actually it was mind control over him from the power of the Tesseract, from the Avengers in New York. So he's all go crazy because at one point, I remember at one point in the movie when they finally get him out of the hospital, he talks to the intern, like Darcy's intern, and he goes, I had a god inside me. I wouldn't recommend that.
I've seen some things, man. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, this point in the movie, like, weird shit starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go into that abandoned building, find the kids who have that strange gravity thing.
Where like it goes through, he drops something down hall, he disappears, but then it comes back the other end.
But not always.
But there's a reason why
Yes.
it's happening. What happens is that the planets are all of a sudden aligned, like all the realms, are aligning themselves. Once every several thousands of years, they line up in this major event. And
Vatu gets free of the spirit world.
Oh, the harmonic convergence. How often are you used as a plot point to resurrect evil?
it's been a plot point for not just for movies, but TV, but it's also for TV episodes. I mean, there's an episode of Rocko's Modern Life where all the planets line up and then Filbert has to go. That's what that's what it reminded me of. It's like Thor has to go back to
Island.
Yeah, has to go back to Kerplunk.
But anyway, we digress.
But we digress. I mean, it explains the whole disappearing shoes.
Basically, the world is turning into the game of Portal.
Yes.
And somehow Natalie Portman winds up going through a portal herself.
Yeah, she does. She goes through a portal, ends up on a deep part of Asgard, like basically the basement of Asgard, if I were to explain it. That's in layman's terms.
Point is, that is where the Aether is being kept, and
The Aether
somehow
it attaches to her.
Yeah. Even though, and I'm at this point, I'm like, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it. I don't even think she actually did touch it.
No,
when it comes loose and
She looks
finds
at
her.
it and it just leeches on her.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, kudos to you for not touching it, but damn, why the results be the same?
Because it's a organic matter thing that has a life of its own, sort of.
So yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so
is that she?
Oh, and the intern's intern loses the keys.
This is the keys to the van.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they get it back.
Yeah,
But
there's a weird time traveling thing. Like she goes into the portal for about 5 minutes, but she's been gone 5 hours.
Yeah, it's for so long that the police are there, and then
they try to arrest her, and then she winds up blowing up. I mean, literally blowing things up.
And then, of course, Thor comes in. She slaps him. It's like, where have you been? Blah blah blah. And then he notices something's wrong with her, so he has to take her to Asgard to find out what's wrong with her.
But all the Asgardians are like, no, she shouldn't be here. She's mortal. You send her right back there. Vroom. Okay, we need to take a look at this shit.
So they took a look at it. They explained the origin of the ether. They explain, the dark elves and what they have to do, and say, oh, there's nothing we can do to get it out of her, but they think there is a way. But then, while all that is going on, the dark elves come in and they start attacking Asgard. And
okay, so like we were saying about how we're gonna draw comparisons to other movies with this, why, in a movie about Norse mythology and stuff, why is it spaceships and sci-fi stuff?
Yeah, and even in the battle tens of thousands of years ago, It looks like a scene out of like a Star Wars or Star Trek movie.
Even more with Star Wars. In fact, it's a lot like Star Wars Episode 2 because there's that one scene where they have Natalie Portman and Thor, and it looks exactly like Naboo. It looks exactly like that scene on Naboo where they're out on the beach.
All it was missing was Thor talking about the sand.
Thank God he didn't. So coarse. And let me...
It's like, have you ever dealt with ice giants? They're cold and icy, and it gets into everything. Well... So.
I will say this right now. Episode 2 is my favorite of the prequels. I know a lot of people hate it.
Even more than Sith?
I'm sorry.
That.
Okay, yes, I know Episode 2 has its problems, but I found it a far more compelling movie to watch than the other 2 prequels. That said, it is still a prequel, it is still bad, but we're not here to talk about that movie. Just draw comparisons.
Well, yeah, I think that to answer the question with, why there's spaceships, well, they explain this in the first Thor movie. They say that, it's like, in my world, magic and technology, magic and science, they're all one and the same. So it's like...
Yeah, but that's magic and science. That's not necessarily like, oh, we have spaceships.
Well, other...
See, the way I see...
What about the, those beings, those aliens from the Avengers? Like those guys.
Well, that I don't remember much about, but I mean, in this case, we're talking about Thor. We're talking about Norse mythology here. You would think that it wouldn't look so sci-fi and would look more like mythological. It would look more old-worldy. It would be like, okay, the ships, I could buy flying ships, but, they'd look like ships. They'd look like, warships. They wouldn't look like spaceships.
They kind of look like B-wing fighters.
Yeah, seriously.
From Star Wars.
And they were making the same exact noises.
And the laser effects kind of reminded me of the prequels too, but I mean,
thankfully we didn't have any of those sonic bombs that went off, because that would have hurt my ears.
Yeah. But in the midst of all this chaos, Loki comes, and then they have to get Loki out of jail because what happened is
the Dark Elf.
The Dark Elves. They find what's Odin's wife?
Frigga.
Frigga comes in.
She's freaking badass.
Yeah, she's trying to protect Natalie Portman's character because she's the one with the ether. That's who they're after. They're trying to get her. So she protects. She sacrifices herself to protect her. And Loki finds out about this, and he just goes into like a deep stupor. Like he goes into like a.
I have an issue with that scene.
Go on. I know you do.
In terms of Frigga's death, because they kind of established that the reason the elves know that the ether is in Asgard is because they can sense it. Hence why they seek out Frigga personally, because she apparently is with Natalie Portman. And you think this up until the elves go to grab her and find out it's just an illusion created by Frigga.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn to her and is like, where is the girl at? And she's like, I'll never tell. So they just kill her and leave. And I'm thinking, wait, you guys can sense this. Why do you even need to ask her? Why can't you just, throw her aside and continue to go after the ether? Why?
Well, they might have like a general idea of where it is. They might not be able to exactly pinpoint it.
I know, it's not like the Ring of Power where like if you put on the ring, Sauron immediately knows where you are, like that kind of thing.
And it's not like she was actually using her power, or her power wasn't coming, out of her.
Yeah, do you think if they saw her and if, considering she was right there and they couldn't sense the power? I mean, you think they would totally feel the power or something, or at least we get the sense that the ether was trying to get out of her and get to them or something.
Mm-hmm.
It it just seemed weird that, that Frigga was basically killed for no reason. When the elves really didn't have to. They could have just continued.
Well, we know why she had to be killed, so that Loki would cooperate.
Yeah, I know. No, as soon as I saw that scene with her and Odin, I'm like, oh, one of them's gonna die. Yeah, it's movie logic. If you show two parents that are happy together, either one of them or both of them are gonna die.
Hey, you do realize Marvel is now owned by Disney?
Yeah, it falls into that trap now. At least it wasn't killed. At least she wasn't killed off screen.
True.
Yeah, no, she went out like a badass.
She went out like a trooper.
I'm really excited. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, really.
I kind of find it annoying though, just because Thor's one of the only superheroes that had both of his parents alive.
Yeah.
And now his mother's dead.
And it did sort of get us to wonder about, the mortality of the gods.
Yeah, that one had me scratching my head too, because did they establish in the last one that they were gods, or they were some alien form that the humans thought were gods?
I think it's the alien form that they thought were gods because they were so inherently powerful because they're super beings. They're natural super beings, but so powerful that the humans think that they're gods. They're not gods themselves, they just really super powerful beings that the humans perceive as God. Humans just think that they're gods because they're so powerful. But they are mortal. Even in the beginning of Thor 2, when Odin is talking to Loki, he's saying that, these people, they think that we're gods, that we're immortal. And Loki's like, yeah, give or take 5,000 years. Puny god!
I'm just thinking okay, so they're not immortal, but they apparently can take a pounding though, especially given
that's part of their attributes. They're supposed to be like that. They could take a beating.
Yeah, how else would Loki have survived being throttled by
the Incredible Hulk? That's the whole point. That's the point of the Asgardian people. One of their traits.
But apparently they can die from a knife to the chest.
And one more for Jenny and the Whip.
Duh. Oh. But Loki then decides to cooperate because he wants to avenge the death of their mother. And I love this because there's a scene where Loki and Thor, they're walking by, and Loki's power is that he can change his appearance to
this part.
Do whatever he wants. So he walks by, he's like, at first he goes by Natalie Portman, and he's like, no, all right, maybe I should just go by one of your newer friends. And all of a sudden he turns into Captain America. I love it, and he's like, just walk around, hey, I feel great, I feel very patriotic, I just feel all American.
God bless you.
God bless America. I just love they got that actor to come in just to do that. He would do that. That's the thing. Anybody who's seen the bloopers for the Avengers knows that he would do that totally.
Which makes me wonder who's going to appear in the Captain America movie now.
Yeah, because in Iron Man 3 we had Bruce Banner, in Thor 2 we have
Captain America. Who would? Yeah, so who's going to? So I don't know, because it's funny. It's funny because in Iron Man 2 and if I backtrack a bit, Iron Man 2 and Thor are kind of back to back because in Iron Man 2 you had Black Widow and Thor you had Hawkeye, but yet at the end of 2 we see the Thor's hammer, and then they see the Thor's hammer again in the Thor movie because that's where that happened at the end of Iron Man 2.
Right.
But if I were to take a guess, but.
Well, I know that Black Widow's going to be in the next Captain America movie. I saw her in the trailer.
Yeah. That might be just it. I don't know if they're going to throw anybody else in.
It's also kind of interesting because in this movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. is mentioned, but they never show up.
Convenient.
Yeah. And you would think with all that's going on, they'd be right there.
Although I did hear in the television show S.H.I.E.L.D., they're going to have an episode that takes place directly after Thor.
After this movie, after Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Ah.
So we'll see. But
I haven't really been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
A little bit for me.
I mean, I've heard some good things, but
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're here to talk about Thor.
So yeah, they have to make this big daring escape because Odin, who has now overcome grief from losing his wife, is preparing for the next assault by the elves because he knows that they're going to come back for the ether. So he ends up locking Natalie Portman away, and Thor tries to convince him, to let them take her somewhere else to spare Asgard. But now Odin is so crazy, and he's like, "Let them come. I don't care if everybody dies in the process. We're gonna kill them first." And I'm like, dude.
it's like, dude, what happened to negotiate first and attack
I know,
later?
he
was like that in the first film. Now he's like, dude, this is like what Thor was in the first film.
I know, he banished Thor for that exact mentality in the first movie. Now the second movie, suddenly it's okay.
So now they sneak them out. They break Natalie Portman out. They sneak them out, and then.
I didn't say how elaborate was that plan.
Oh, and everybody that pulls Loki aside, and they're like, "You do anything, we'll kill you." It's like to the point where he's like,
"Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're gonna kill me. Yeah,
Get
okay,
line.
yeah."
Get line.
Apparently, there's a line.
They get on the ship. They get on the ship because during the battle, one of the Dark Elf ships crash, and they hijack that. It's like, and Loki's asking Thor, "Do you know how to fly this thing?" "Yeah, I can fly this thing." So they fly.
So many buttons.
So he flies it. So he flies it out, and they talk. Then they end up on one of those hover boat things.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason they broke Loki out in the first place is because he happens to know a bunch of secret, tunnels or routes that actually lead out of Asgard without anybody noticing. Hence why he ends up driving them into a mountain.
And a lot of and he's also sort of in with the elves, sort of, because I mean he did help them. He did help them a little bit, and the one elf vouched for him.
Yeah, because during the jailbreak, he's like, "You'd rather."
Yeah.
It's like you want to go to the left at the stairs.
I just love it. The guy just looks at him. He's like, he sets everyone else in the jail free. He looks at Loki. He's like, no, bye.
And he's like, "Oh, take a left at the stairs." And he's like, "Okay, I'll do that."
Still not setting you free though. So. And I love that Loki's just reading a book during all the action.
What else is he gonna do?
I know.
He's
I mean, he can't really watch much of it.
So yeah, like I said, they managed to pull off that big, elaborate, escape.
They get they get to the planet with the Dark Elves, and they try.
I gotta say, for a dark world, it was pretty boring.
Yeah, it's just a lot of sand, a lot of black dirt, and
You think something called the Dark World would look maybe something like Hell or Mordor or something like that, and this it's just
sand,
endless fields,
rubble,
yeah.
lots and lots of rubble, and a cave,
and a cave full of car keys
and shoes, but mostly lots of rubble.
Yeah, and the big plan that Thor has is to basically present Natalie Portman to the elves because they know how to get the ether out of her, and then once it's exposed, they try to destroy it. Even though it's established within the first 5 minutes in the flashback that the ether cannot be destroyed. Which you think would have also been written in that story.
No, I think they were trying to kill the elf, not just the ether, but the elves possessing the ether or something.
Well, no, they wanted to destroy the
Yeah.
ether first and foremost, but as it was established, it obviously cannot be destroyed. It's one of those mystical entities that just exists.
So after that kind of backfire, because at first it's like, oh, Loki's betraying everyone, but then no, Loki's not betraying them, and
oh, Loki's sacrificing himself.
Not really.
Yeah, Loki dies.
Come on, you all know he's not gonna
Come on,
die.
you really think they were gonna kill him off?
No, but here's the messed up thing. I actually bought it at first, especially when he started turning all was it grayish or something?
Beige.
I'm looking at him was he poisoned or was the thing turning him to stone? Well, because he gets stabbed by the monster the same way Frigga did. then he's like all turning all grayish, and the veins are sticking out of his face, and then he dies. And then Thor and Natalie Portman end up leaving him to seek shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, Natalie Portman is able to make a cell phone call on this dark world.
And finds out that, looks around, it's like, oh, look, here are the keys, and here's the shoes. I love it, and Thor's looking around, it's like, what's with all these shoes?
Okay, I buy that you're by the portal to the Earth, but I still don't see how the hell you would get a cell phone signal. But I'm gonna suspend my disbelief, just so.
I think, the signal will go through, but
I don't even know.
Especially
The
considering
physics of this world is
I know, it's like, you go into the basement of a building, you can't get jack shit reception, but somehow you can get perfect reception in a whole other dimension. Explain that to me.
aliens.
Cell phone signals are weird. Cell phone companies are weird.
So yeah, they conveniently get back to Earth.
And are able to drive the car.
Can I just point out, this is the second movie I've seen this year where shoes is a theme. Like Thor looking around, I was like, why are there all these shoes here?
And then at Pacific Rim, where are my shoes?
Where's my damn shoe?
Oh, that's a thing! That's another thing!
Giant monster?
Yes! Remember? Because
yeah.
there's that one scene where the giant monster gets loose and
yes, later
on Earth, and it's like... And it runs off to God knows where.
It was one of the ice monsters from the first film.
Yeah,
got sucked through the portal, and because
there's this whole portal thing going on
where they go through one portal, and they end up in another world, and then they go back to Earth, and they go back in another world, and somehow one of the ice beasts from the first movie got.
Like I said, this becomes a game of Portal.
Yes.
Like, everyone is going through different things and entering out in different places. Like, they show a flock of birds flying through the sky. They disappear into one of the portals, and then all of a sudden they reappear up through the sidewalk. And
we're going to be talking about this for a while. Because this is just so topsy-turvy crazy. And all the while they're trying to, put up these posts to try and stop the elves from coming because for some reason they're going to Earth.
They're going to Earth because they go to Greenwich, and which is kind of significant because with Greenwich, that's where the prime meridian is established on Earth. It's like the center of it's the center meridian. It's the center of the longitude line, and that's the epicenter of where all the portals, where all the dimensions are linked. As the dimensions are. Being lined up.
I do say, though, I give them kudos for not choosing an obvious location.
Mm-hmm.
Because they even mentioned it, with Stonehenge and the pyramids and all those other,
the Easter Island.
Yeah, all those other,
and Stan Lee wants his shoe back.
Yes, the obligatory Stan Lee cameo. There's a scene where the doctor, the scientist, he's explaining all the different dimensions of the world, with Asgard and everything, and he's in this crazy, and he's in the mental hospital, and he's like, any questions? And all these old people are just sitting around, and Stanley goes, yeah, can I have my shoe back? I'm like, hi, Stanley, because he's like Hitchcock, he has to make an appearance in every one of these films, but. Anyway, they go to Greenwich. They try to stop the Dark Elves from coming in to try to take over the world, and there's this big epic battle between Thor and Chris Eccleston.
Mass hysteria.
I just love it.
Cats and dogs
living together.
I just love it that the ship enters sort of the same way, and the ship crash landed in Star Trek Into Darkness.
Really.
Just goes into the ground and is just going just uprooting everything in its path. And yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna talk about that, but let's continue.
Yeah, so after this it becomes a clusterfuck of action scenes,
going through portals, the ice beast. There's one point where Thor goes into this other town in England, and he goes out to the subway and he's like, It's how do I get back to Greenwich? Just take this train. Okay. So he gets on the train.
Okay.
And he's taking a train back.
Okay. That I need to address.
Okay.
Okay. So, we have this alien warcraft plowing into Greenwich. Plowing into this one building harbor area. People are fleeing. It's probably all over the news. And people are probably incredibly frightened. And the trains are still running.
Well, it's in another part of town. It's miles away.
But still, the trains are running. And they're running to Greenwich. Wouldn't you think, A, we're evacuating everybody from the area, and B, even if we are going to have mass transit, why are we sending it toward the epicenter of this devastation and chaos?
If I may quote The War of the Worlds, see, maybe it's because with the aliens, once they begin to move, no more news comes out of that area. Like, they don't know. If I were to suspect, if I may play devil's advocate.
Here's another head-scratching thing, the military involvement. You notice out of all of Great Britain's military, all of their Air Force, even S.H.I.E.L.D., who apparently has agents all over the world, only 2 fighter jets are sent in to confront the thing that is going on.
Yeah, I didn't really see any military presence, really.
It's the Royal Air Force, but you send only 2 jets in, and they immediately vanish into the portals.
Yeah.
I guess maybe they were scouts or something, but you think that they still would send some sort of military personnel, if not to attack the thing, but to at least, try to get the people there to safety. It's just weird that there was, absolutely no one there, not even a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty much up to Thor to handle everything.
Well, yeah, like I said, where was S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, they conveniently
Where was
disappeared.
S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, where was Nick Fury on that one? I wouldn't be surprised if they mentioned that in Avengers 2, or Thor goes, "What? In Greenwich when the Dark Elves attacked. Where was S.H.I.E.L.D. on that?" And then the big argument with S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know.
Yeah, because they show S.H.I.E.L.D., they're going to show S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Captain America movie. I'm assuming they're going to be a big presence in that movie. It's just strange, because the whole reason they started, really upping the ante on their security was because of the shit that happened the last time Thor was on Earth. You think
I know, you think they would have learned, but they didn't really learn.
No, Darcy's, the interns was saying that, freaking S.H.I.E.L.D. won't call me back. And I'm like, why won't S.H.I.E.L.D. call you back?
Yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D. gave you... correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure at the end of the first Thor movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. gave them permission to continue doing research on, other dimensions and worlds and stuff like that. In fact, it's because of what happened in Thor, it led to the events of the Avengers, because because even Nick Fury was like, why are we building a weapon to Tesseract? It's because of Thor, because it turns out we were hilariously unprepared for, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was baffling. I mean, granted, some of the action during that is cool, like when he fights the elf guy, Christopher Eccleston's character.
Mm-hmm.
And, it does get pretty intense, when he actually goes into the ether to try to, mess him up, and he's, slicing off his arms and, sending him all to different dimensions and everything.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I don't want to call it anticlimactic, because they did sort of build it up a little bit, more than the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, yeah, they defeat the elves, basically just plot holes.
Yeah. Now you're playing with portals.
But I'm wondering, what happened to the ether, though?
No, I think it got destroyed.
I know they destroyed the elf guy, but I don't know if they destroyed the ether. I mean, it's kind of been established that the ether can't be destroyed.
No, wait. I think they captured it somehow and put it back. I don't know. No, they captured it. They put it in that little jar thing.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's what it was, because they do the...
Was that the thing after the credits?
That was the thing after the credits. They took that, whatever that ether that escaped, they took that, they put it in the thing, and they gave it to...
The Collector.
Gave it to the Collector, who will somehow tie into all this. I don't know.
Well, it's pretty obvious what the next big story arc they're leading into is going to be. It's probably not going to happen in the Avengers 2, but definitely by Avengers 3, they're doing the Infinity Gauntlet arc.
Oh, really?
Remember he mentioned because that confused me. I even asked my sister on this because she knows more about it than I do. Like, if the ether was like one of the Infinity Gems, or if it could be made into one. I wasn't sure. I just know that one of those. You know how they usually have like the two scenes at the end of the movie. You know, just random bits. One is usually important. The other one's just for laughs.
Yeah.
Well, they showed two of the Asgardians bringing, I believe, is the ether to the collector.
Yeah, they get the ether to the collector.
Yeah, saying that they can't keep two powerful relics in the same realm, so they give it to him to watch. He says he will. He looks at it, and then he says, 1 down, 5 to go. There's 6 Infinity Gems. So
I'm not too much into the Marvel arcs. I'm more of the DC arcs, but.
Yeah, my sister was telling me about that. And in fact, if you look in the first Thor movie, they actually have the gauntlet in with their treasures. So, at least I believe that's the gauntlet. That's what my sister said anyway. So, I don't know, I'm just wondering, if that was the ether, if this was just a gem they happened to find in the aftermath. Still wasn't relatively clear.
Well, they'll probably clear it up later on in the arcs.
No, but here's the last part of the movie that is definitely head scratching. It's that Thor leaves Earth, no goodbye or anything like that, just heads back to Asgard, talks to his father, saying that
he doesn't want to be king.
He doesn't want to be king. He just wants to be a good man and protect all the realms as a superhero. And his father reluctantly agrees and lets him. And then it turns out that's not his father. It's Loki. Yes, Loki somehow survived getting stabbed through the chest. I know everyone's going to say, oh, well, he's sort of a god, or, he could stand up to that, he's faked his death before, but it's like, Frigga died the exact same way. She should be more powerful than Loki, yet she died, and Loki somehow survived.
Maybe it was an illusion.
That's what people were telling me, but I don't think so because Thor actually holds him in his arms. It's established that you cannot touch the illusions. So, really, how are they going to explain this one? I know they managed to explain how Coulson survived getting stabbed.
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe Loki survived the same way? Somehow?
Maybe they'll explain it. Maybe.
Explain, movie, explain!
I mean, I'm not complaining that Loki survived. I mean, he was obviously the biggest saving grace of that
We
movie.
knew he was going to survive.
I mean, even after his death, I'm just like, I'm calling bullshit on that. They're not going to kill off the most popular character.
Yeah, and as soon as we see that soldier, we're like, there's no, you found a body, you're Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder what happened to Odin.
Exactly.
Is he dead? Is he imprisoned? Or was he just happened to be in another room at the time and doesn't know what's going on?
That could be possible. I'm thinking it's that one.
So, I'm just wondering about that, and then what's gonna happen? Is Loki gonna, rule through his illusion of being Odin or what?
I don't know.
And what about Thor's allies? Are they going to be taken out of prison? Well, actually, they were.
They were.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were.
Speaking of his allies, I gotta say, I feel really bad for Sif. I love how they're building her up to be a love interest of Thor, but he pretty much friend zones her within the first 15 minutes of the movie, and that's pretty much it for her. And he even humiliates her further by making her rescue his girlfriend.
Could I just say this about the actress who plays her? Tell me she would not look great as the role of Wonder Woman.
She would.
If they ever do a Wonder Woman movie, cast her as Wonder Woman.
Well, I don't think they're in any shortage of actresses who could play Wonder Woman. The problem is that we need a good script.
Well, for that matter, I think that other guy, the one who has they call him the Robin Hood lookalike with the beard and everything. Tell me he wouldn't be a pretty cool Green Arrow.
Yeah, he
would be a good Green Arrow.
He has the look and everything. It's perfect.
Yeah, really. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Terry Elwes in a way.
I know.
I was also thinking a younger Kenneth Branagh.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he would make a good Green Arrow. But that's if we get to a Justice League movie, which DC, I think, which
probably never gonna happen.
no, I think they're trying to, but
they're not doing it the right way.
they're not doing it the right way because the thing with the Marvel movies and the reason why I think they work so well is because they kind of approach their movies. Marvel Studios approaches their stuff as the way they did comics, where like that's why you have like the things at the end of the credits is like it ties into the next one, so it kind of makes you and in the long run the way we see if you look at all the movies, it doesn't matter if you're a Captain America, if you like Captain America, if you like Thor, if you like Iron Man. There's something that at the end of each one, and it ties into another movie later on. So you kind of want to go see that film to see how that progresses and how that's all tied in. Everything is all tied in.
I think they were trying to do that with Green Lantern.
Well,
in a sense,
they wanted Green Lantern to be a franchise, like Batman's a franchise, like Superman's a franchise, but they were trying to approach it. They were also trying to approach it kind of like what Batman did, like in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Batman Begins, they didn't start off with the main like the Joker or the Penguin or anyone like that. They didn't do anybody big. They say that for the sequel. They were trying to do the same thing with Green Lantern, like. The first one they do Parallax instead of doing Sinestro because
I don't agree with Parallax being the villain, but that's for another time.
I know I don't agree. I don't agree with that either. But that's what they were trying to do. They wanted to save Sinestro for the second one. Have like the whole Green Lantern. The Sinestro Corps War, which would have been awesome, but unfortunately, Green Lantern. Well, Green Lantern, excuse me. Even though I like Green Arrow too. But Green Lantern didn't do so well. Lost money. But, I don't know. I say reboot it.
I don't even say reboot it. I say just try a little harder on the second one. Or,
if
they I don't know if they're going to get to a second one. I say reboot the whole thing and have Kyle Rayner be Green Lantern. Or do, like, Green Lantern Corps. Like, you have a whole bunch of them, so you get, like, Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner, and
we'll see what happens, but let's stick with the Marvel universe at the moment.
Yeah, they're clearly doing much better.
Yeah. So, and the quality of the quality in general, I think, is also a lot better. It's not overly. It doesn't feel. I mean, there's definitely CG in a lot of the Marvel stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's. It doesn't feel like it's overshadowing the entire experience of the film.
It's not distracting.
No, exactly.
Yeah, honestly, like, with the second Thor movie, like, because of this movie, I'm actually starting to, like, Thor's becoming among one of my favorite Avenger characters now. Because before, I didn't pay him any mind at all. I mean, granted, I didn't see Thor till much later, but, like, the second movie, like, after he's done with his arc and everything and has humbled himself and is now, gone to help, the people who need help, like, he's, like, a really likable guy. He's, like, pretty chill and everything. And granted, he can be arrogant sometimes, but, he has the power to back that up. Mm-hmm. So he's a pretty cool guy, and I really like him. I like that, they've made him such a likable guy in this.
I know, I really like that. I know, that's one thing that I took away from the first Thor movie that I saw. Which is funny because we saw Thor and then I saw Thor the Dark World the very same day because we went to go see it. And, I was a little hesitant in watching the first Thor movie because I heard, a lot of people, didn't like the first Thor movie. They thought, they didn't say it was bad. They just said it was kind of meh.
Yeah, I mean, granted, he doesn't have the sort of charismatic personality that, say, Tony Stark has, but
he's still entertaining to watch.
I know. That's what I took away from it. He was entertaining to watch.
I prefer him to I'd say, like, the TV version of his character, like when they show him like the TV Avengers or whatever, and he has like he has the stereotypical like Old Norse like speaking voice, and he's arrogant as hell and and is like sort of oblivious to what's going on.
I don't know. That might have been Avengers Assemble. There was another one before that, the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, where he's a lot more down to earth. I think
That might have been the more recent one, the last one they did, the Avengers animated.
Well, there was Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and then after the Avengers movie came out, they started deciding to reboot the franchise and make it more geared toward the movie versus just the standalone animated series.
Yeah.
But, that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's like, in that animated series that I was speaking of, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, you actually have, like, Thor being more down to earth. More, I feel a lot more like the movie version that we've been seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like especially like Chris Hemsworth, like he's actually sort of grown on me, and I could see why a lot of girls like are like become like such huge fangirls of his. Like I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and oh my god, that poor bastard, the diet and that regiment.
Yeah, from what I hear,
I know what you've told me. It's like,
from what I hear, he's like, I think after Avengers 2, he's done.
I don't blame him.
He's done.
I don't
He
blame
doesn't
him.
want to do this anymore.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
he was able. He's still alive for the regiment that he's been on for this role. It's like,
Yeah, but Avengers 2 will have like an anorexic Thor.
that's the last thing anybody wants.
But still, he's doing a really good job now, and I enjoy watching him. And I do hope that they make a Thor 3. They probably are, but I would like to see it just to see, you know, what else they could do. Like, he has all these 9 realms to travel. There's possibilities of where he could go and what he can do.
There's realms that they haven't shown in the movies yet.
Mm-hmm.
That have yet to be established. So.
Yeah. However, I do hope that they get rid of Natalie Portman soon. I'm sorry, but all the parts with her are just... bleh.
Meh.
I just still say, like, I haven't felt this way in the first one. She is a big miscast. Because she's supposed to be, like, this scientist type. And granted, you know, she says, you know, the sciencey stuff, but she's, like, a pretty girl who practiced saying this. And then, like, you didn't see her look proud with herself after she said, like, this big, like, long sciencey mumbo-jumbo thing. But it's like, you see her at her house, and she's like, oh, sorry, you know, I don't get guests that often, you know, I'm not used to people coming to my house, and it's like, look at her. You think she wouldn't have visitors?
It's like Denise Richards in Starship Troopers.
And she's not like one of those, like, she doesn't come off as one of those, you know, closeted individuals who, like, is so wrapped up in her work, she doesn't pay attention, like, to the people around her half the time, and she's not, like, you know, totally, like, driven by her work, where she's, like, obsessed with every angle. She just doesn't come off that way. Mm-hmm. She's Natalie Portman. That's what she just seems as.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't really think of how else to describe her. Just, I would not say sciencey.
I don't know. It could also be poor direction, completely missing the obvious on certain things, but, I mean, it's whatever. I wasn't really bothered too much by it, but...
I mean, like, especially when they, of course, brought up the whole, they're trying to make a love triangle thing with, you know, her and Thor and Sif. Like, you look at Thor and Sif, and obviously they're a good match. You know, Sif is, like, strong and a good fighter. She always has Thor's back. He trusts her completely and stuff. And, like, despite all that, yeah, like, she's good, but she's not Natalie Portman good.
I feel like we're almost describing Starship Troopers.
Well, I mean...
I'm serious. It's kind of scary.
Like, nothing against the actress herself. I just
No, I have nothing
I
against
just
her
don't
either.
think this was the right role for her. I would prefer someone who looked and sounded more sciencey, not, you know, some model that, you know, said she was a scientist.
Because there's too many of that. There has been too many of that in a lot of movies over the years.
Like, she's not Tara Reid level bad, you know, pretending to be a scientist, but still.
Denise,
Tara Reid isn't
and I wouldn't say Denise Richards bad either. I mean,
we need a name to get people in.
And let's throw glasses on him, because that makes him look smart.
I don't know.
Yeah, but, and then, like, and then here's another thing that bothered me. Christopher Eccleston was very underused in this movie. In fact, I didn't even know it was him until the credits.
Yeah. Like, much of the movie he spoke in Dark Elvish, I guess. I don't know what exactly.
Most of the movie, I forgot he was even there.
Yeah, he really leaves no impression. It's like, you have Christopher Eccleston, who has obviously proven he can be a good actor. He can have this intensity about him when he delivers a speech.
I know. Look at, like, the other day, I was watching the episode of Doctor Who, Dalek. That was with the Ninth Doctor with Chris Eccleston. It's the beginning of the new Who, where they reintroduce the Daleks, and it's a really good episode, and it's a great episode for Chris Eccleston. There's moments.
That's kind of his moment where he becomes the Doctor, from what I hear from people.
Yes, and it is the best episode of the Ninth Doctor, and it is my favorite episode with the Ninth Doctor, but it's an example of what Chris Eccleston can do, of the range that Chris Eccleston has as an actor, and he can do that. He's proven that multiple times, but with here, it's like, I think part of it is because half the time he's speaking in, like, Dark Elvish, and also the fact that he's covered in makeup, so that's how you can't even tell it was him.
Yeah, couldn't even tell it was his voice, couldn't even tell it was him, you couldn't,
And it's like,
you could have thrown anybody in that role.
I know, pretty much. That's why it was so disappointing. You have such a good actor, and you just have him be this generic character. Like, he has the potential. Bring it out of him. I mean, unless he was not willing to, which is baffling to me, but... Unless
he was just doing this just for whatever, I mean...
I don't know. It just seemed like a waste to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
I mean, for God's sake, his sidekick does more than him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an epic death with Loki.
Yeah, just so disappointing. And I mean, everyone else was okay. I mean, like the comic reliefs were comic reliefy, as usual. And the Asgardians were pretty cool and everything. I said I really like that Frigga had more to do in this.
Yeah.
And that she had a chance to shine. Odin he was still pretty good. There were times where it seemed his performance was a little over the top, and it just. When he does that whole 360 about, suddenly he wants to kill everyone despite the fact that his own people will die, just was baffling to me. So, yeah.
But I mean, apart from all that, I mean, I don't think it didn't really ruin the experience. I don't think
Not really.
For any of us. It's just things that's like, it's there, but it's like...
It's an afterthought. It's one of those things where you sit down and you think about it, and then you realize, yeah, those were problems, but... During the initial viewing, I enjoyed myself immensely.
Oh yes, same here. I mean,
I enjoyed it. Like I said, obviously I had my problems with it, but one other thing I felt, even though, and I was mentioning this a little bit earlier, with how I think like what the movie was like. The first movie is about 1:45. This
one's I think is a little bit longer.
Yeah, this one is longer and it feels longer. Like, with the other one, it's still longer, but it's still like over an hour, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels very fast-paced, despite the fact that not a whole lot is going on. But with this one, I felt the opposite was true in that they probably could have moved faster, but they spent a little too much time on little things, I guess. Like, I guess they also probably spent a little too much time on the Star Wars stuff, the Star Trek kind of stuff. And, I mean, it just feels weird because sometimes it just drags. And for that matter, we go back to, Chris Eccleston's character. It's like, okay, so... We barely have him in the film, but we have all this other stuff that we could easily have just, cut down on. If you're going to make the movie as long as you are, why don't you have the villain be more present?
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, it's not so much about the villain, but more that it did feel longer. It did feel at times that it just dragged on and kind of lost my attention a bit.
Yeah.
I have to say though, I liked the soundtrack.
Mm.
The music was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. It was still definitely a good movie. There's no doubt about that. It was just, like I said, there's those minor things.
Yeah, I mean the visuals, they could have done more with the other worlds. It's like you have 9 different realms. You could do whatever you wanted with them, but they made them so generic.
They stuck it with Asgard, Earth, the Dark World, and
they had a Mongolian village.
Mm.
Oh, that Mongolian village in the beginning, and that ice world, which they threw in, and then the beast. You see, and then later at the end, you see the beast just running around in the streets, just playfully
he's looking for Ron Perlman. That's what I said. I was like, "What? I'm off to look for Ron Perlman."
But overall,
and his damn shoe.
Yeah, overall though, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did Iron Man 3.
Oh yeah.
Anything is better than Iron Man 3.
A lot of stuff was better
That's the one thing I give Thor big props with, is that in this, unlike Tony Stark in his sequels, Thor does not regress. He does not go back to how he was before just to learn the same lesson again that he did in the first one. So that,
not to mention the whole big plot isn't so easily solved. This is like, and then it doesn't really mock our intelligence as much.
No, it doesn't.
It's like, it's like the whole big problem is, this shrapnel's stuck in my heart. So I built all this stuff, but I could have easily had it removed, but no, I have to go and make the.
We expressed our outrage about that the previous video. Yeah. I don't think we need to get into it.
Yeah, but I mean, at least with this, the plight is a lot bigger, and you can see the drama in it. You can see why this is so big.
Yes.
Why it's so hard to choose between living life on Asgard and living life on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering how the other Marvel movies are going to compare now, because you already did the big one of the universe is going to be destroyed if we don't do this. So I'm wondering, where do they go from here now? Well, you have the Captain America movie, you have the X-Men movie, and then, what's that other one that's coming out? Not Avengers 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
I do also want to mention, because... And I think this also kind of goes back to Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but one issue I kind of had with the first Avengers, and I guess maybe they might do it for the second one, is that it could have used, more villains, like an Injustice League.
Well...
Or, Legion of Doom sort of thing, where you have all the Avengers' enemies team up.
Well, they could...
become the anti-Avengers.
You mean like the Dark Avengers?
Yes!
Well...
with the Iron Patriot!
Well, I mean... The thing is that this was the first time something like that had ever been attempted, so I guess they wanted to keep it
I can understand that.
They want to keep it simple.
I can understand that, and it definitely made the plot no less,
I'd agree if they did that for Avengers 2,
yes,
or even Avengers 3.
because at this point now, they've established that, we can do this. We can do it right. So, maybe now they can actually group the Dark Avengers together. Because that would make, sure it would be a cliched plot, but on the other hand, it's really why else would you have the Avengers? Because they're only going to team up when the threat is really, really, really big and too big for one, each of them alone to handle.
Yeah.
Which, when you think about it, look at the plot of Avengers 1. Universe could be destroyed because, the portal to another dimension opened up and creatures were going to destroy this world.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was just one. In Thor, he had to deal with 9 of those portals opening at once.
Yeah.
And one alien destroying all of them. So if anything, the stakes in this movie were much bigger than Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So which makes me wonder.
And he had far less. He had just like a couple of ragtag mortals with no powers other than their minds to help him.
And their convenience technology.
Well, keep in mind that at the end of Avengers, they revealed Thanos, and like Thanos is, I guess, was going to be in Avengers 2. I guess one of the villains.
It could be. And I mean, when you think about it, in the first movie, they're combining some of the story arcs. You got the Tesseract from Captain America, and then you have Loki from Thor. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's some combination going on.
Yes. Mm. So
yeah, I mean, this is basically another piece of the puzzle building up to a bigger picture.
Like with a lot of the Marvel movies, like regardless whether you're a fan of like Hulk or Iron Man or whatever, that's what it boils down to with all this is that they're all pieces of the puzzle. It all comes together, and that's what I like, and that's what I like about it. And it's a smart from a marketing perspective because it gets people to watch all the movies. Mm-hmm. DC doesn't have anything like that.
I think they've been trying to get that started, but for whatever
they're
reason, they just keep getting snagged.
Right now DC is doing that Superman, the sequel to Man of Steel is that Superman Batman thing, which I mean
that doesn't really count as a Justice League.
But
on the one hand, though,
it sounds like they want to try to incorporate the heroes together. This is the first DC crossover they've ever really done, big budget movie wise, and to me it kind of almost comes off as desperate because DC is kind of lagging behind as far as feature films go. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is pretty good, but I mean, after watching
Man of Steel,
okay,
and
the fact that they have to bring Batman in to save it, it's like real. I'm just like, really? Probably gonna go see it anyway because of Batman, because I like Batman. But
okay, I know we're talking. This is the Thor vlog, but seeing as we've gone into the DC territory, I feel like I want to say this. I think that the DC movie universe could be salvaged if they were to bring on some of the writers from the animated universe.
Yes, I remember you talking about
this
for a while.
Now I know you're gonna have different audiences, when it comes to the movies, and that a lot of them they're not gonna pick up on the continuities of the other heroes and stuff. But here's the thing. The animated shows, you had Justice League there, and not only that, but they also brought in the Justice League Unlimited, where they bring in a whole bunch of characters from all over the DC comic book universe, and they made them appealing, and most people didn't know much about them. But after watching this stuff, it's like, you actually want to learn more about them. So, my point is that the animated staff made the Justice League more appealing to the generic audience. And if they could do that, and they're good also at writing stories anyway. So, if DC were to bring in the animated writer staff, then you might actually be able to get something that would appeal to the masses, to get something that would appeal to the people who aren't all that, knowledgeable of the DC universe. So, and they'd be able to write decent stories. They know these characters, they know how they should be written. So yeah, that's my advice.
And that's
take it or leave it.
And that was the real problem with Man of Steel, is that they didn't know how to write Superman, or how to make a realistic Superman for that matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, DC at this point, they're like the Superman Batman thing. They're just desperate. But overall, I mean, DC would have to re-strategize how they're doing their movies in order for them to compete with Marvel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, DC in general needs to strategize and restaff.
Well, rebrand.
But
Rebrand, really.
That we're not going to get too much into. That's something if you don't know about what's going on, you need to look it up. But this isn't for us to really discuss.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're staying right now. We're purely on
Yeah.
Team Marvel, like until DC, gets their act together.
Yeah, really.
So, but yes, we look forward to the upcoming Marvel movies. I actually saw this movie twice, so I saw like the trailers for the X-Men movie and for Captain America. It looks promising.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got a lot to look forward to. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, Thor 2 was surprisingly good. Like, it's not great. It's not perfect. There's obviously flaws, but it's better than the original. It's better than Iron Man 3. So I definitely say give it a watch. And yes, I agree, fangirls, it needed more Loki.
But we got more Loki. They gave you Loki in the first 5 minutes.
More Loki! No, because he was actually really funny in this. I actually really enjoyed
I know, he was
Tom
funny
Hiddleston's
in this
performance. Like, I can see now why girls really like him. Like, I didn't understand it when I saw Avengers and the original Thor. Like, I could sort of see it, not really, but in this one now I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I still don't think he's cute or anything, special to look at, but he's funny enough where you can sort of overlook that.
Yeah. You're more into his personality than his looks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not Tony Stark level hot. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, yes. And
So overall, yeah, this was good. I like this.
Mhm.
Nice to end the year of superhero movies on a good note.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Literally. Another!
Oh.
Yes. Another Marvel movie.
Yep, until next time, I'm Cat T Critic.
I'm Y2 Staller.
And I'm One Sap Morn.
And, well, we still have a big hulking hammer sticking out of your coffee table, so... What?
I got it.
What?
I think I could do it. I think I could pull out that hammer.
What do you mean?
Think about it. I mean, in the first Thor movie, Loki, nobody paid him any attention. I mean, he was just there. Nobody was fanatic about him. It wasn't until Avengers that he really harnessed his true power. And you know how he did it? Fangirls. So, if I could harness the power of fangirls, I could lift that hammer.
You couldn't even lift a pair of pliers.
Plier this! Okay, fangirls, lend me your affection. Your affection will give me the power that I need to pick up Molière and save the day! Ah. Come on, fangirls! Ah.
Oh my god, Loki! Oh, he's so sexy and smart and handsome, and Tom Hiddleston is all those things too. It's just, oh.
Oh my god, you're so perfect!
He's just really hot. Wow. Isn't he amazing?
Look, my future husband.
He was wow hot. Wow hot in Thor the Dark World. Wow.
Yes! Yes! Come on, fangirls! I can feel your power! Say my name. Say my name! Say my name!
No, because it knows the god of missions.
You have to watch Thor the Dark World, dude. You have to watch it. Just for Loki.
Oh my god.
I can do it! I can lift it! I have the power!
I told you not to lift it.
Hammer time. Go with the flow. It is said if you can't do the list, you probably are dead. So wave your hands in the air. Bust a few moves. Run your fingers through your hair. This is it. For a winner, dance to this, and you're gonna get there. The move, slide, your up. Just for a minute, let's all do the bump.
Where did this hammer come from anyway?